I used to be a corporate 9 to 5 person. My first career started with a company called Bombardier. They make private jets in Toronto and Montreal, Quebec. Every entrepreneur knows that the business of entrepreneurship is risk. As an entrepreneur, you need to have an idea of everything so you can put a business together. Then you hire the specialist who's going to get the job done. I build opportunities that allow me to stay back and allow the opportunities to run on their own and they still generate me income. That's what I pride myself into because I need that time to be able to do things that, my God-given purpose.
Who is like unto you, Jesus?
Hi guys and welcome back to God Walks In. As you can see, I have a guest here today. If you enjoyed the last video, then you're most definitely going to enjoy this one. So, Uncle, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Uncle. My other name is Ademabo.
That is great to know. We just thank God for adding my bank accounts, my uncle, everything and above. Anyways, Uncle, so with that being said, I just want you to kind of go into your background, so maybe where you've lived the past couple years or throughout your life and your journey, and yeah.
Fantastic. My name is Ademabo again. I'm an entrepreneur, as humanitarian. I was born in Lagos, Nigeria. I grew up in Lagos, Nigeria in my late 20s. In my 20s, I started traveling outside of Nigeria. In my late 20s, I relocated to Canada in North America. And in the last 15 years or so, I've lived in 4 different continents. I've lived in Europe, I've lived in South America, North America, and now I'm back to Nigeria and I live here in Lagos, Nigeria again.
That is great to know. So today's topic, as you would have seen, is the mind of a businessman. So Uncle, with that being said, I just want you to start off with just kind of the foundation. So what inspired you, what pushed you, what motivates you, and what was your drive in what you've accomplished up until this point and your journey?
Fantastic. Multiple things has inspired me. I used to be a corporate 9 to 5 person. My first career started with a company called Bombardier. They make private jets in Toronto and Montreal, Quebec. And then, of course, I moved into full-blown tech and tech consulting. I moved to an oil company called Oski Energy with a company called Tata Consulting Services, one of the largest consulting companies in the world. A few other consulting gigs with Sierra Systems, a couple of other companies. And then I ended up working full-time in a director position with a bank called ATB, about the treasury branches, somewhere in Alberta, Calgary, Alberta. And I guess that was my last job. I realized that I wasn't cut for someone who was going to pay me a certain amount of money, determine how much vacation I'm going to have in a year, determine what time I have to wake, determine what time I have to sleep, determine how much salary I have to earn, determine how much free time I have to have, etc. I wanted to be able to go out there and do stuff for and by myself. So while at work, I started venturing into a few entrepreneurial journey. And of course, I stopped working more than a decade ago and I just focused 100% of my energy in building different businesses. So if you ask me what are the qualities, what's driving, what's the motivation, every entrepreneur knows that the business of entrepreneurship is risk. And if you're in the business of risk, you want to be able to be sure that you position yourself to win out of the risk. So persistence, perseverance, the ability to keep going, regardless of whatever situation you find yourself in.
Wow, that's very inspiring because as I'm currently in a 9 to 5, one thing that I've realized is that there's always something to take from where you are. So you sharing your journey and sharing how you actually started off in, for example, a 9 to 5 and you went from this area to IT to this area, it actually shows the building behind the mind of an entrepreneur.
Interesting.
So with that being said, I just want to ask you, what what did you take? What things from your 9 to 5 do you think that you picked up to say that okay, or how did your mind form in such an entrepreneurship way that you knew that okay, even though I know I don't want to work for anyone, and I don't want anyone to dictate these things. What was your thought process during those periods of working in 9 to 5?
Fantastic. I'm always going to give kudos to my 9 to 5 and kudos to everybody who does 9 to 5. But I have nothing against it personally because you have to learn. And if somebody has built a business that's successful enough, I can put a structure on it, people can work inside of it. You want to learn how they've done that. I think all my years in working corporate 9 to 5, that's what I learned over time. How does this thing work? How does the system work? How can technology help me? How can people help me? How can basically all my resources help me? We call them the 4 M's: manpower, which is human resources; capital, money, which is capital; machines, which is technology, equipment, materials. How can I combine all of that to use at my disposal as an entrepreneur? And those forms part of the foundation of where you are and become as an entrepreneur. And as an entrepreneur, it's a game of risk. I can tell you with absolutely no doubt that in almost every 10 ventures I've done, 7 to 8 of them have failed one way or the other. But again, that's how it is. It's like you go into the gym trying to lift 50 kg weight on the first day. Of course, you're not going to be able to do that. It's a gradual thing. You learn, you fail, you figure out what did you do wrong, and then you start, of course, start getting better, start turning back your vision, start turning back your excitement. And this is all of the things that, over time was taken into the business of entrepreneur. So I tell people, don't beat yourself. If you don't do it right, if you're getting it wrong, if you failed a few times, the most important thing is persistence and perseverance.
That's very interesting. So I was actually having a conversation with Auntie, and one of the conversations we were having, Auntie was telling me how a little bit about everything. So in terms of your knowledge, in terms of your mind, you've kind of built yourself to know a little bit about everything. So kind of in relation to the last question, now knowing that some of that has been developed from the 9 to 5, where would you say you received the rest of the knowledge that you've acquired in different elements of things that you may not primarily be involved in?
Fantastic. I know that they say that a specialist should be king, somebody who knows one thing and knows it so well. Unfortunately, entrepreneurship is not like that. Say, for example, you open up a dry cleaning shop. You probably will never really know how the machines are made. You probably never know how your phones are made. You probably never know how the operations of the back end will work, the human resources, the payroll, the accounting behind it, customer service. It's a whole lot of things. So as an entrepreneur, you need to have an idea of everything so you can put a business together. Then you hire the specialist who's going to get the job done. Then you hire the specialist who's going to get the job done. So I pride myself as a residual income builder, meaning I build opportunities that allow me to stay back and allow the opportunities to run on their own, and they still generate me income. That's what I pride myself into, because I need that time to be able to do the things that, my God-given purpose, the things that I like to do as a person. I want to have time to be able to do that, which is a lot more humanitarian. Working in remote villages, helping build water, build healthcare system, build infrastructures, build in places that I know that I can never get anything in return. And we as an entrepreneur, one of the things we want to always do is to go out there and generate enough wealth so that we can give it back. It's like a game. It's not like you want to make it all for yourself and your family alone. You want to be able to impact life. You want to be able to make sure that lives of others are better. Someone like me, I want to pride myself that at the end of my time, I would have impacted at least 1 million people because of this opportunity of entrepreneurship and being able to do that. And I hope that I haven't got too far away from the questions, but this is the space, this is the mindset of an entrepreneur, being able to put all of the resources together and being able to generate and create something amazing with it because you want to impact the lives of other people by doing that.
Wow, that's very touching, and it's very touching to kind of know that, because sometimes, and I feel like in our generation, or my generation, sorry, I feel like it's like people want to get places fast. People want to get places quick. So sometimes people don't actually realize building that goes into the process. People don't realize the pain. People don't realize the tears. People don't realize just, the foundations and the elements that actually go into the process. And even, for example, us recording this video is resilience because it's actually our second take. But it's a thing where it's like, there's something you said when we first recorded it, and I kind of want to bring that up again. You said something around the fact that, because I think I asked you how do you kind of deal with the strive and not wanting to like keep going basically, and you kind of said every single day you fight the battle to want to give up. So I kind of I want you to touch on that if it's okay, please.
Fantastic. So I guess the question was, so where do you get the motivation to be able to keep going every day and doing what you do? Well, technically, there's really no motivation. Every day I wake up in the morning and there's a voice in my head that says, give up. Why you trying? You have enough. Don't, every single day. And sometimes, you have very bad experiences in business and you're just like, what, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. And some days you just have your demon playing all over your head. And I said to her, I have a strategy that I use because this thing goes through the mind of almost every single person. But your ability to overcome that, set yourself in the right state of mind, the right frame of mind, and then being able to keep going. That's what differentiates the champion from those who are just participating in the game. The game of entrepreneurship is, it's a journey. Sometimes you see people that you're far better off, or you have more skill with, and they do spectacularly way better than you. But if you stay consistent in the game is going to reward you back for all of the time, energy, and all of that. So from all the bad experiences that we've had, from all the failure, we build just that ability to learn from it, relearn, unlearn, find a better way to do it, and then when you get back in the markets, you could do something a whole lot more better. So that's the whole idea of that. Giving up, the thought of it comes every time, every day, but those who really want to win never really give up. You just have to keep going.
No, that's very inspiring, Uncle. That's very, very inspiring. So, with that being said, another question I want to ask is that obviously currently we are in Nigeria, and you were born and raised in Nigeria before you built yourself and branched out to different countries. So, what I now want to ask you is, there is many people that you kind of see on the streets, unfortunately, like begging for money because they need money, they need food. So, and there's a shortage of that, of course, so they wouldn't be begging. And there's many people that maybe have grown up in the village, been born and raised in the village, and kind of continue that cycle of remaining in the village. So what now differentiates you, your motivation and your drive, or maybe to an extent your mindset? And I feel like you've kind of touched upon it in the previous question that I just asked, but I want it to kind of be more directed with this question. What differentiates you from someone that maybe just continued the cycle of, to an extent, poverty, unfortunately?
Fantastic. So yesterday we were talking about it, and I said to my niece, I said there are four major things that shapes where a man goes through in life, and we call it the four E's. The first is the environment you find yourself, place you're born. Either you're born in a village, or you're born very poor on the street of Lagos, or on the street of anywhere in the world. That's your environment, right? But if you stay at that level of the game, of just your environment, then you stay local. There's no way you can be able to make it better or bigger. Then when you have that environment, you always want to make yourself better. And that's why people put education to it. Education gives you the ability to see things that you cannot even see with your, and it gives you the ability to process things. So now you have that environment, and you now start adding education to it and start getting better, with education, either formal or informal. It starts to give you a leverage over your environment. And then accidentally one way you find exposure. Maybe you accidentally go work for a rich man and you see the way they live, or you go on vacation and go stay with your uncle who seems to have a little bit more. You get to be able to understand, okay, this thing can be better. What those does is they start building capacity from the inside, telling you to be able to do more, telling you to be able to shape yourself, right? And then over time, when you start trying things, you build something called experience. When you combine all those four together, continuously in almost everything that you find yourself, you start becoming bigger. I moved back to Nigeria, my entire family, less than a year ago, and the environment I was in America is completely different from the environment I am in Lagos. So I have to start relearning. I have to start learning how we do things in America, and I start learning. Then I know, okay, this is my environment. Who do I need to start associating with so that I can get a little bit more education? This time it's not formal education, this is more informal education. Oh, this is how we do things here, this is how we go out there. And then from that, I started forming a bit of association, started going to go and see some of these people, and now they live in Lagos. What he did is he automatically exposed me to a bigger, better, more glorious life that I've even never seen in many other lives of other people living in Africa. I could have stayed in my environment and started spending all that time with people that I grew up with that have absolutely nothing, because that's also going to now, my exposure is going to now be exposed into pure poverty. And then you start dropping my own ability to hustle. So I have nothing, absolutely nothing against those who are at that level. I keep many of them as friends because, of course, as you look up, other people are looking up to you. So you cannot be looking up and expecting that you get help, and the people looking up to you, you decide not to be able to give them help as well. But you have to be the one that is masters of your game. So, and as I started getting exposed to the life of what these people have, what they can do better, I started trying a few things. I started building my own Nigerian experience, being an entrepreneur in Nigeria. For me, at the end of the day, when we finish all of this, we want to give the money back to those who really need it. Who are those who really need it? The children, they need basic education, they need healthcare, and they live in an environment to survive in. Elderly, those who are above the age where they can physically still hustle for themselves. Widows, those who have lost and now they have to be solely dependent on themselves. And of course, the poor, under the category, which is the lowest of all of them, under the category of those that that they have no capacity to be able to do that. Any other person who has two hands, two legs, live in an environment, wants to be able to work better, what you give to them is mentorship. It's not even the hands down, because if you do that, what you do is you suppress their ability to go out there and also give them skill acquisition, give them this, give them that. But you are laying that foundation that your job is to be able to impact the lives of more as you get more in life.
Wow. Okay. So with all the information that we received, and I kind of touched on some of the things that we're facing back in my particular generation. So with that being said, and with all the information we've also received, what would you say to your younger self?
Fantastic. My younger self, if I get an opportunity to be able to talk to my younger self, I would have failed faster. I would have failed forward more, and I would fail faster. Many of the mistakes I made in my 30s and early of my 40s, I should have made those mistakes in my 20s. But remember, in my 20s, I was in the battle of immigration. I didn't have papers in many countries, just really trying to figure out my life, right? I wish that I was younger. I would have tried things faster. I would have, find good mentors, find good, get myself in the places where I got good exposure so that I can see how to do this and how not to be able to do that. So what would I have done if I had a younger face? Fail faster, fail more forward, learn as fast as I can, take my mistakes and my learning and revamp it back into more possibilities and more things that I could have done. That could have made me a lot more, extremely way more successful from there. And I can give you back-to-back experience. I give you one experience when I was living in Toronto. I bought a property. I think I put 5% down for about 17,000, and I started watching the property grow. It was a $350,000 property. I started watching 5% about 17,005. Started watching that property rise all the way. When it got to about 600,000, I sold that property. That was 2 years after. That property ended up becoming $1.something million before it dropped a little bit to about 900-something thousand. What I learned from that mistake, if I learned that mistake faster, is the subsequent properties that I had, I wouldn't have just sold them. I would have just kept them and hold them and go through the hard times that I could have had inside of them, because almost all of them appreciated by 100% over a period of time. I didn't know that properties could appreciate 100% over over a period of less than 10 years. It could have been an experience that I could have had. I could have collected a lot more when I had the ability to be able to do that. I could have stayed in a more competitive. I could have learned all that mistakes earlier, so that when I start redoing them again in my 30s, I could have been able to learn from those mistakes and be able to position myself well. So I had multiple opportunities I didn't take when I was supposed to take it because of fear. I had multiple opportunities I was supposed to take because I overly inflated my faith in the process. All of these experiences, there are people that I've given money to that didn't know what they were doing, and because I have some level of respect for them, they lost all the money. Then I could have just taken the money and put it in the hands of those who really knew how to, what they were doing. It's a whole lot of things. So now when somebody comes to me and say, "Oh, I want to be able to start up or set up a business," but this person has never started up or set up a similar kind of, they can be successful in anything else. But the particular one they want to do, they are not specialists, master of all. Knowing my kind of person as a residual income person who is a generalist and wants to work with a specialist, I won't do that again. No matter how much I like them. Money is not emotions. Money is fact. Money is your ability to go get the job done. So if I was a younger self, I want to feel more, want to feel forward. And that would have helped shape multiple things that we do and where I am today.
Wow. So I just want to reiterate, money is not emotion. Money is not. So with that being said then, I feel like there's a lot of young women my age or within my age that kind of, they're looking for maybe like a man, for example, their man, or someone that they end up with to kind of save them in aspect of finances, in aspect of business, etc. Like there's a kind of connotation of, oh, like I just need to find a rich man, for example. And I think personally it's very important for, as a woman, to have things that are going for yourself, to have things that you're doing, whether it is bringing in money or whether it's something that you're just becoming skilled in. However, like no disrespect or anything like that to someone that is their connotation. But I just kind of want you to highlight the importance of, from a male perspective and from an older male perspective, the importance of a woman having her own money, having her own thing that she's doing, having just something tangible, something going for her.
Fantastic. First of all, if it's something that your father can afford to give to you and you can afford to be able to pay for yourself, then you don't have any reason to have it. Except it's pure gift, pure absolute gift without any influence of yours. When you have an older person that's with you, you're female, you have an older person that's with you, the best they can give you is leverage, mentorship and leverage. Because at the end of the day, we're all interconnected in our connection. You have to have something going and you have to be solid at what you're doing. They would give you advice. They could give you, leverage. They could give you connections. They could give you a whole lot more, but you cannot be completely 100% dependent on anybody. Either it's an older man, your parents, yourself, or, your friend or anybody. Because there are 3 levels of relationships when you start playing at this game. There's the dependent relationship, the independent relationship, and the interdependent relationship. You always want to play at the interdependent level. So the dependent level is give me, it's a man, it's my birthday, give me this, buy this bag, buy this car, and when the man is nowhere, you have to find the next one, you have to find the next one, and the next one doesn't have, they have to find 2, 3 men who could be able to match up. Oh, that's a dependent mindset. The independent mindset is the ability to go out there and say, I will do it on my own without the help of anybody else. That's also, it's a little bit higher than the dependent mindset, but that's also a very dangerous place to be, because those who decide to run alone, they run fast. Those who run with other people, they run far. The question is, you want to run far. You don't want to run fast. Life is not a sprint. It's a marathon. So you don't want to be isolated, independent woman or dependent woman. You want to be at the level of something called the interdependent woman or in the interdependent person, which meaning it's a symbiotic value for value, win for win relationship. You meet somebody, you bring value to the table, they have higher value to you, but you also bring value to that table as well. And they help you to shape your own value to become better. They help you to shape your own value to become, they give you resources, they give you connections, they give you leverage, they give you all of that can help you to be able to put your game to the higher level. That is the blessing of connection, blessing of mentorship. Anything else that happens between a man and a woman, that's personal. But the mindset that you're going to be dependent or you're going to be independent is a failed mindset if you want to win in the game of entrepreneurship.
Wow. Wow. So I'm just taking a minute to really. Oh. Okay. So then, with that being said, yes, so with that being said then, I think the last question that I would like to ask is, so we've kind of known what you do in terms of you felt prepare in terms of your younger self, but if there was one thing that you regret other than that you want to do differently, what would it be?
Oh man, I don't know if there's anything I would have wanted to do differently. I've already shared what I would have done if I were my younger self, and I think that question would probably have answered this question, right? But is there anything I want to do differently? No, no. Life is a journey. It's not a destination. I've enjoyed the journey. Sometimes when it didn't go my way, when I didn't come out with the outcomes that I want, but all of this shape how you cherish the moments and, the blessing of life and who you are. So what would I do differently? Absolutely maybe nothing. But what would I have done if I was a younger self? I would have tried to feel forward faster, learn, get experience, know how to be able to move and position things. That would have been a faster way for me to be able to move on with life. So I think that answers that question.
Thank you so, so much, Uncle. Thank you for your time here today. Thank you for helping me and your resilience because, as I said, we did do a preview yesterday. But just thank you so much. And I also want to thank you on behalf of just the family. I think I want to thank you on behalf of the family. And the reason as to why I do want to thank you is because sometimes it does take others to go before you to know that, okay, this is possible. This is something that I can achieve. This is something I can accomplish. Why? Because someone close to me has done it before and even their resources was even more limited. Their resources was even harder to reach. So I just want to thank you personally on behalf of me and the family and just thank you for doing this video. Thank you for the mistakes that you've made because now you can then instruct us and we don't have to go through it ourselves because you've gone through it yourself. So we're then able to, okay, I'm one step forward. I don't have to now fail in that regard in order to know that this is something that I need to do. But it was your tears and it was your hardship that has been able to make that possible and have been able to build that. So I just want to thank you. I just want to really appreciate the fact that you've not only done what you needed to do to get to where you are today, but you're also willing to share your journey so that others to go through the same things and don't need to experience the same things as well. So that is all for today. I hope you guys really enjoyed this. I know I did. I know I got a lot from it and I know I'll be watching it back. Please share, comment, subscribe. Okay. Yeah. But thank you guys for watching. It's been great and hopefully we can be back to do it another time sometime in the future.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye guys.